The following is a Rural Roots Canada production. In this episode of Rural Roots Canada, we go in depth on a national research project looking at lameness, cow comfort, and animal welfare in dairy cattle being done at the University of Calgary. And we get the inside story from Alberta's provincial Ag Minister on the government declaring 2014 an agricultural economic disaster. I'm Eric Smith, getting to the stem and meat of agriculture. A research project at the University of Calgary's veterinarian medical program, supported by dairy stakeholders, is centering on lameness, cow comfort, and animal welfare in dairy cattle. Fourth-year PhD student and veterinarian Laura Solano is one of the people carrying out the study, which began in 2011. She tells Rural Roots Canada they have visited 81 dairy farms in the province, making evaluations as they go.
We basically just made evaluations on the barns, on the barn design, of how comfortable the beddings and the stalls are, and where all the cows' environment and how does that affect them in terms of lameness and injuries, hock injuries and knee injuries and so on.
The study is also being carried out in BC, Ontario, and Quebec. Solano says after they finish the evaluation, they show the farmer how they scored.
So we gave the farmers a report of how would they score, how do they compare to the rest of Alberta and to the rest of Canada in terms of cow comfort. So we would tell them, okay, you have this 20% of lame cows in your farm, you're doing better or worse than other farms in Alberta. So it was pretty good because it gave them, I think that they really liked it as well because it gave them like a perspective of what was going on and where do they compare next to their neighbor and at a national level.
The ultimate goal of the program is to improve animal welfare for dairy cattle. Solano says the program has now moved into the follow-up stage and is being done by her colleague, Emily Morabito.
She's going back to farms to evaluate where the same farms that we worked with and to see if there has been some kind of change and how that change has impacted the farm in a negative or in a positive way.
Morabito, who is working on her master's at the U of C, says the project excites her.
It's very exciting to be part of this. I've always loved animal welfare type studies, so it'll be nice to see how these changes really affect farms and benefit the cows and make things a lot better for both the public perception and for the farmers. So
the project has shown such great promise that it has resulted in 3 other studies, including one with the Alberta Hoof Health Project. A Rural Roots Canada news segment. The Alberta government has declared this year an agriculture economic disaster. Alberta Agriculture Minister Veerlyn Olsen tells Rural Roots Canada the decision was an administrative one and was made so that they could allocate some capital to pay for the insurance claims that have been coming in.
When you do a budget, you really can't budget for some future disaster like hail or early snow or whatever. So you come up with a number in the budget. And if it turns out, because like this year we had some very significant hail in certain parts of the province, and then we had the early snow which did a lot of damage, the result was it bumped us over the number that we budgeted. It doesn't mean that we don't have the money to pay for it because the premiums were paid, the money is there, but in order to trigger the payment, we have to declare the disaster.
Due to all the storm damage over the course of the year, Alberta's Agricultural Financial Services Corporation is expected to pay out as much as $600 million in crop insurance claims this year. For more on these stories and more, go to ruralrootscanada.com. For Rural Roots Canada, I'm Eric Smith, getting to the stem and meat of agriculture.